Welcome to the Midwest Blitz. It's college football comfort food for the Midwest soul. Now, here are your hosts, Coach Drew and Big Nick.
Welcome to another edition of the Midwest Blitz. It's week 14, and that means it's hate week, rivalry week.
Hell
the
yeah.
game's coming up.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
before
Nick.
we get to our Big Ten and Notre Dame covers, we're going to let Coach Drew hit the college football playoff week 4 rankings that just came out. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. We're happy to be here with you. We're going to have a good time. Coach Drew, run us through how this top 12 works and how it impacts Big Ten teams, and then we might touch on the group of 5 possibilities here as I look at my big board here in the kitchen office.
Yeah, absolutely. So first things first, I'm going to give you the top 12 according to ESPN. Now, this is the top 12 college football playoffs. That's not including the teams that will get in because of qualification. Number 1's Ohio State. Number 2's Indiana. Number 3 is Texas A&M. Number 4, Georgia. Number 5, Texas Tech. Number 6, Oregon. Number 7, Ole Miss. Number 8, Oklahoma. Number 9, Notre Dame. Number 10, Alabama. Number 11, BYU. And number 12, Miami. So, with that being said, Nick, do you want to comment about any of these before I tell you guys about the other one?
There's
that
not a
actually
whole,
isn't set.
Not a whole hell of a lot of movement here in the top 12. Oregon jumped Ole Miss, who I think was on a bye last week after Oregon took down USC. We hosted a watch party on Rate Game for that one. That was a good time. I think Oklahoma, Notre Dame stayed put at 8 and 9. Bama's still at 10. BYU still at 11. The biggest move here in the top 12 is that Miami moved from 13 to 12. Utah, I believe, had been at 12. They had a weak showing in a 4-point victory over Kansas State where their running defense did not look up to the Kyle Whittingham standard of physicality. That is the test in the Big 12 is the Utah test of physicality, and I think they failed their own test the other day. So the committee bumped them down only one spot. They flip-flop with Miami, which all but will keep them out of the college football playoff, but they could still end up in the conference championship game with BYU. We don't want to get into tiebreakers and all that, but Utah is going to need some help and need some big wins to get it done. So that's in the top 12. USC, obviously, in the Big Ten is probably out now with 3 losses. And then Michigan at number 15 is they're in the inside pole position, if that's the right word, in horse racing, where you get the inside track where you have a chance to pass people down the home stretch if they could find a way to knock off their rival Buckeyes on Saturday. What else do you want to touch on there, Coach Drew? Maybe the American Conference, maybe the Sun Belt, maybe ACC talk?
Yeah, the P4 team that's looking to get in is Tulane. So Tulane is the 12th team that would get in if the college football playoffs ended or started today. And then they still have Miami jockeying for that other qualification to get in with the air quotes ACC. But as we know and we've been covering, it's hard for Miami just to get in with the ACC qualifications because, well, to do that, they have to play in the ACC championship. So that's one thing we're looking at right here. The Miami team does have the best SOR going up into this weekend, and they should be able to pull off a win against Pitt. But hey, if they beat Pitt, it does open doors. There's some things in the ACC that can trickle down and move around that can propel Miami to play in the ACC championship. Right now, the goal for Miami, get to the ACC championship, hopefully win that, and boom, they're right into the college football playoffs as everyone predicted here.
I think, though, off the top of my head, that Miami is in 4th place with regards to qualifying for the conference championship game. I believe they're behind Georgia Tech, SMU, and Pittsburgh this weekend. They play Pittsburgh, but Georgia Tech plays Georgia. So Georgia Tech's not going to lose another conference game. SMU plays Cal, who just fired their coach. So it's mathematically possible that the Canes could end up in the ACC title game, but it's highly unlikely in my opinion. It doesn't mean impossible. I'm not saying that. If we look at the American Conference this weekend where we might get a group of 5 team, hell, we might get 2 group of 5 teams depending on what happens in the ACC. I do think that's a legitimate possibility. Tulane has UNC Charlotte, North Texas has Temple, and Navy has Memphis. So I'm not going to tell you which of those 3 or 2 out of those 3 teams will play in the conference title game. I'm not going to tell you which 2, but That's still wide open. And then in the Sun Belt, the JMU Dukes, the one-loss Dukes, play Coastal Carolina this weekend, a game that they're easily favored in, and have a chance to win the Sun Belt and end the season with one loss to Louisville, who was ranked and playing really well early in the year when the Dukes lost to them. So keep an eye on the Dukes. Keep an eye on the American Athletic Conference as well. Drew, you want to move on to our first Big Ten game of the week?
Well, before we get to the Big Ten game of the week, I just do want to touch up. Ole Miss is playing Mississippi State. Ole Miss does have a lot of stuff going on right now with Lane Kiffin possibly being negotiated at LSU.
Sure.
Florida's looking around. There's a rumor mill. They're playing Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That's a game you want to watch. That's a rivalry. Georgia's playing Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech already finished all their ACC games. So they're just playing Georgia, who is very strong under Kirby Smart. Look for that game to also impact the ACC and possibly help Miami, even though it's not qualified for the ACC, but again, helping them with SOR. We have Texas A&M and Texas. Now, this game for Texas doesn't matter with Arch Manning, as his season's basically done, and they're going to play in a bowl game. But Texas A&M, if they slip here in Austin, that's not a good look for Texas A&M going into what could be a bye. So that's something to look out for. Vandy and Tennessee. Now, this game matters because Tennessee's not looking into play. But you got Joey Aguilar going against Pavia, the two oldest football players in college football right now, where Vandy is looking to just stay around with 2 losses. Do we want to see another SEC team? Hell no. But again, that's a game, another rivalry in-state. I would love to see this in baseball as well. Great matchup. Know somebody's going to Tennessee next year. And then the Iron Bowl also needs to be old Iron Bowl. Alabama's playing Auburn. Auburn just fired their head coach. Are they going to capture UCLA Magic? Nobody knows. This is a game that not might be for the ages, but hell, if Auburn comes back, upsets Alabama, you can kiss your CFP goodbye. So there's a lot of games. Hopefully, you use your Black Friday money wisely and buy 4 or 5 TVs because you're going to need them because there's going to be so much action. You thought our war rooms are crazy. Just wait till we have to put the next 20 installments from Walmart. Now we get to the Big Ten on Friday, Nick.
I'm glad that you brought up the Iron Bowl with Bama and Auburn because I think Auburn has a way better chance to pull an upset here with a new coach. Nothing to lose. You come in and just play for the one rivalry game that's the biggest game of the year. Biggest game of the year, especially if you're Auburn. You've had an elite defense all season. Now maybe you put some new stuff in on offense, throw Bama for a curve. Bama's struggled to run the ball all season, honestly, with any level of consistency, something we've talked about here on the Midwest Blitz. Let's go to Nebraska, though. Let's go to Lincoln. Friday, November 28th, Black Friday, noon Eastern Standard Time on CBS. The Iowa Hawkeyes will take on the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Cornhuskers plus 6.5 at home. This is a border state rivalry that's got some juice. I know a lot of people from Iowa, and I love people from Iowa, and people from Iowa hate people from Iowa State. We've been telling you all year here on the Midwest Blitz, and I assume the opposite is true of people from Nebraska. The resentment between Iowa people and Nebraska people started to accelerate as soon as Nebraska joined the Big Ten back about 10 or 15 years ago. So wish we could have gotten rivalry fan letters for that, but we do have rivalry fan letters coming up here later in the show. Questions for this game, Coach Drew. Can Nebraska slow down the Hawkeyes running game? Nebraska has had a very good secondary, legit top 20 secondary all season. Their running defense has not been as good. On the other side of the ball, can my favorite Cornhusker, Emmett Johnson, cracked the Iowa defense, which has been tough all year, probably got cracked worse somehow by USC than anybody, honestly. Iowa's defense didn't defend the counterplay that USC runs as well as Oregon did last week. So can Emmett Johnson carry the Huskers with the freshman quarterback in since Raiola's hurt? Can Iowa win a game by more than 5 points? Well, except when they're playing Minnesota. So, I mean, I asked that question just to say I expect this to be potentially like a one-score game, but Nebraska's Achilles heel on the line of scrimmage defensively does open things up for the Hawkeyes because we know that they want to come out and hammerhead punch you right in the mouth up front and see if you can stop it from Jump Street. And then when they get off Jump Street, they'll go to fourth quarter street, and they will still be trying to punch you in the mouth up front. So we'll see how this game goes. I expect that it could be pretty close, though. And can Nebraska get a win on Senior Day? And I know that the Cornhusker faithful at Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska will show out in droves to support their Cornhuskers on Senior Day. I'm sure it will be a very fun environment to play in.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Nebraska being home on senior day, this is going to be interesting. Emmett Johnson, can he crack Iowa? Very good point there, Nick. This game is going to be close. On Black Friday, now I understand that my Bears are going to be playing against the Eagles, and this isn't an NFL podcast, but hell, I'm going to be watching this game. We've been following Iowa and Nebraska all season. We have fans from both sides. I'm sure once we post this clip, they're going to go right at each other in the comments, per usual. Now, this isn't an elimination game. This is more about pride. You think about all those big Nebraska kids or Iowa kids that are watching this game that are like, well, if Nebraska wins, I'm going to go there. Flip commitments. I mean, there's a lot in the line. Iowa corn-fed boys might go to Nebraska. Nebraska corn-fed boys might go to Iowa. That's what we're looking at this game. Can they do what's like? I'm looking at Iowa. I'm looking at Gronkowski. I'm looking at everything that's happened on this season. I want to see Iowa excel and do great. On the flip side, I also want to see Nebraska. It's good for the Big Ten. Unfortunately, somebody has to win, and I'm just looking for a dogfight, honestly.
Two of my favorite fan bases to interact with this season here on Midwest Blitz are Iowa and Nebraska. I think they identify with me as an Indiana boy that we're all part of flyover country. I hate that term, but you guys know what I mean. And so it's fun to get together with other, like when we made the Midwest Blitz, these are the type of people we were really thinking about. It's like Iowa and Nebraska fans. Other media outlets don't give your team a lot of respect, but we love these fan bases. We got a lot of fun talking to you guys this year. May the best man win. You want to go to my least favorite college town in America, Coach Drew?
Yeah, is it where Stranger Things is also being debuted tonight? We're also doing this on Wednesday. Look at us. We cut off season 5 commentary to talk about what's happening in actual Central Indiana on Friday, not in the fictional world, but I think something is going to be turned upside down, especially when Big Nick's in town. Go ahead.
Well, I will be headed to West Lafayette on Friday, Black Friday. Number 2 Indiana at Purdue on NBC Peacock at 7:30 Eastern. Boilers a 28.5-point underdog at home. Coach Drew, we got a little fan mail on this one. We got a letter from a Purdue fan named Andrew and an Indiana fan named Bobby. And rivalry fan letters are one of our favorite things to do here on the Midwest Blitz. So here's our letter from Purdue fan Andrew, who writes, "Dear IU fans, I know we've had our differences in the past, and we're about to have a lot more. You guys might be ranked number 2 in the country right now, but just like the shit that you are, your time in the spotlight is unfortunately about to come to a close. Maybe if you guys stopped committing rhymes with intellectual result, use your imagination, every year and actually focused up, you might be number 1. Hey, Andrew, little tip for you. Every college campus in the country has intellectual result problem, I'm pretty sure." Andrew goes on to write, "I was just thinking of some of my fondest IU sports memories." Okay, that's nice. "The Ohio State game last year where you guys got your ass kicked. Curtis Rourke's torn ACL. Michael Penis's," I think he meant to write Penix, says Michael Penis's 47 knee injuries during his time as a Hoosier. And if Mendoza doesn't watch his back, he's going to be next. If you thought Bounty Gate was bad, there's a black and gold team going for kneecaps on Friday." Very classy, Andrew. "Thanks for always being the second or third option for every kid who wanted to go to Purdue growing up. IU is such a great fallback school, as long as we ignore the hazing and frat shutdowns, free speech violations, and inappropriate misconduct allegations. Thank you for letting any high school student with a pulse and his daddy's checkbook get into your school. And lastly, thank you for producing some of the most influential people in American history, like meat connoisseur Jared Fogle and billionaire asshole / Crimson Chin lookalike Mark Cuban. Your stamp on modern society cannot be ignored, Hoosier fans. I'll see you later. Although it won't be on the moon because the collective brain power of your school would struggle to get a bottle rocket off the ground. Signed, unsigned without any love at all. Andrew, the Boiler fan, BTFU, Boiler the fuck up." Thanks for writing, Andrew. We really appreciate that.
And that's not me, by the way, guys.
No, it's not Coach Drew. Hey, Coach Drew.
Yeah. What did Bobby have to say? Where's Bobby?
Our next letter for Rivalry Week comes from Indiana Hoosier fan Bobby, who writes, "Dear Purdue fans, I've been giving thanks all week for the opportunity to go to Ross-Ade Stadium this holiday weekend and get together with my friends from Purdue. That's assuming any Purdue fans even bother to show up for this game. There's going to be a lot of cream and crimson shirts in the building. I do think it's pretty funny how your students yell, "IU sucks," every time you guys kick off at every home game the entire season. Nothing screams little brother more than that. Personally, I'm the oldest brother of 5 children, so I know that being a little brother can be hard, especially when the little brother's getting his head dunked in the toilet over and over again, just like you will be on Friday night. Seems like ages ago that Joe Tiller and Drew Brees were lighting up the Big Ten with their groundbreaking spread offense. Oh, by the way, how's Ryan Walters doing? Barry Odom must have been really desperate to get a P4 coaching job offer to leave UNLV for West Lafayette. What a shit show. But I guess beggars can't be choosers. Matt Painter should have left the Boilers a long time ago. They've never appreciated him. And if he had, he probably would have won a national championship by now. Matt Painter is not the ceiling. Purdue is the ceiling. Like they say at Harry's Chocolate Shop, the legendary Purdue bar, Saturday, be ready to go ugly early. There's no point in waiting around for something better to come along because you're a Boilermaker. See you ladies Friday night. Signed, Who's Your Fan, Bobby.
Wow, Bobby, that was beautiful. Give me a round of applause for Bobby and Andrew. Great job, guys.
Thank you, Bobby and Andrew. Thank you.
It's
no love lost there.
Tough sledding.
Wow.
No love lost at all.
No. So on to the game. I did see a nice clip of D'Angelo Ponzi, All-American defensive back for the Hoosiers, handing out meals for local charities in Bloomington over the weekend. He had family there with him. Pretty good to see teams giving back around the holidays. I'll say this about the matchup between IU and Purdue. If Purdue covers the 28.5-point spread, I will buy a case of beer for the first Purdue fan that responds to us in the comments section if Purdue covers 28.5. Don't hold your breath because it ain't fucking going to happen. But I will Venmo you whatever your favorite brand of beer is. I will Venmo it to you. Assuming you're 21, we'll get together in the comments if hell freezes over and Purdue covers 28.5. You buy 100, Coach Drew. That's my call.
Yeah, I think Mendoza's definitely gonna love it, as he's gonna be moving towards his Heisman Mendoza trophy that will be passed to him if he completes the task of beating Purdue, which I don't even think this is a trap game. I am wearing my trap shirt for you guys. It's a trap. But this one's not. I wore this shirt specifically for today because we are talking about Rivalry Week. And if you're looking for traps, it's the hated weeks. I mean, you're being told every day for the rest of the time that you're there before you go on holiday break that this school sucks, referring to the other school, and how much you hate it. So that's how trap games happen, is when you're like, oh, look how good we are. Signetti has been waiting for his moment all his life. Cue the music if we had it. Waiting on my moment. That's what Sig is going to be doing against Purdue. You think he's not going to waste an opportunity to put Purdue back on the moon landing in 64? I mean, he's going to push that football program so back, Barry Odom might be like, yep, I can't fix this, and might have to leave to another school. I mean, that's what we're looking at. Purdue, good luck. Hopefully, maybe you do something else as far as like not have brick houses and bricks everywhere. Similar to your basketball team before Painter got there. Hope all is well. But Big Nick, be safe. That's all I got to say. This game is going to be a snooze fest. Not for IU fans, but for the five Purdue fans that might show up.
You know, Coach Drew, before a rivalry game like this, usually I would sneak some booze into the game in my boot or in my pant leg or something. But this is one of those games you might have to sneak a thermos of coffee in for because it might be hard to stay awake. Hey, speaking of that, there's another rivalry game that we have fan letters for coming up. Going on at the Big House, somewhere I've been, a very exciting place to watch a football game up there in Michigan. We got Michigan plus 9.5 against Ohio State in the game. We got a letter from friend of the show, Michigan Mitch, who writes, "Dear Buckeye fans, I know we've had some disagreements in the past, especially where we're allowed to plant our flag. But I don't want to dwell on the past in this letter. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate you again on the wonderful season you had last year. Finishing the year as the first ever pantless national championship game." I think he's saying, Drew, that Michigan de-pants the Buckeyes there in late November. It must be great to have a coach like Ryan Day. He's 53-5 in Big Ten Conference play. That's incredible. I'm assuming the majority of those losses didn't come to the same team. Maybe a team from up north, Good news for you is this weekend Ohio State is about a 10-point favorite. I have no idea how Michigan could overcome such huge odds. Could you imagine if Michigan were like a 23-point underdog? It would be impossible for them to win a game like that. Ohio State has had their share of scandals over the years, but I want to focus on some of the great contributions that they've made to the world of college sports. See, that's nice, Coach Drew. He's taking the high road here. Look at Woody Hayes. He helped set the precedent that coaches should not punch student athletes during games. Or Jim Tressel, who was basically the inspiration for NIL. His leadership led to changes allowing players to sell their team swag in exchange for tattoos. What a great deal for student athletes. We don't have to talk about how your stadium is basically a glorified toilet in the middle of a parking lot, or how your fans yell OH-IO so they don't forget how to spell the name of the state that they live in, or that hairless nut you guys have patrolling the sidelines at your football games. I don't want to talk about any of that today. This is the greatest rivalry in all of sports. There's a lot on the line this weekend. Michigan has a chance to earn a CFP spot, while Ohio State has an opportunity to get back in the Big Ten championship game for the first time since 2020. Maybe Ryan Day needs to update his GPS because it's starting to seem like he forgot how to get to Indianapolis. But let's take a serious look at this rivalry before I wrap the letter up. Michigan won the Natty in 2023 and Ohio State won it the following year. That is what makes this rivalry special. That's why they call it the game. Anyway, enjoy the game, dickheads. Go Blue. Signed, Michigan Mitch. Thank you, Mitch. You know, Drew, we have a letter from an Ohio State fan also. This is from friend of the show, Buckeye Wyatt. Dear Michigan fans, let's get this out in the open. We haven't gotten along very well in the past, and since we have to spend the holiday weekend together again, we should try and get along. So I just want to let bygones be bygones. You know, the University of Michigan really does have a beautiful campus. It's amazing how the grounds crew can keep the football field looking so good despite how quick your thirsty-ass fans are to rush the field. I also have to admit that Michigan getting 5 wins against Ohio State in the last 20 years is quite an accomplishment for you bunch of pussies. Speaking of recent games you've won against us, I wonder if Connor Stallions is still hanging around campus somewhere. It looks like he was kind of embarrassed to wear the maize and blue while he was working there, so he had to wear a disguise and sit in other teams' fan sections. Moving on, it makes me laugh when I hear people talk about the iconic Michigan helmets. Iconic? Is that what you call it when you steal your helmet design from the Delaware Blue Hens? But back to the game on Saturday. Saturday, we're going to remind you where your true place in the Big Ten Conference lies. On the wrong end of a good old-fashioned belt-to-ass beatdown. You know it's coming, and that's why you're talking about leaving the Big Ten over the proposed private equity deal. You know your luck has run out since you aren't able to cheat and steal signs the way you were when Jim Harbitch was your head coach. Truth hurts, doesn't it? Serious though, in all seriousness, you know what my favorite thing about Michigan fans is. You're always bragging about your high academic standards. In the words of the great Cardell Shotgun Tate, we didn't come here to play school. We came here to play football. OHIO. Signed, Buckeye Wyatt, fan of the world-famous Buckeyes. Coach Drew, you can't do much better than that. That's why this is the best rivalry in college sports.
Yeah, some people call it the game. We do. And
You
this
know
game
how hard
is
it
going
is
be...
to read that shit and not bust out laughing.
Yeah, you did great. Everybody, give a round of applause for Big Nick for just doing a great job there. If you like our commentary and you like everything that's going on here, I think this is a great time to remind you guys that we're going to be live on the Rate Game app, which you can come hang out with us. It's a non-gambling app. It's a social app. You can rate how great this rivalry game is going to be. I'm thinking it's going to be a 9.5 just to start. It can only go higher from there. And you can come hang out with us, like I said in the live chat. We're going to be hosting it, hanging out with you. Affiliate links and all that will be down in the bottom below.
Our live chat last week for the Oregon USC game was a whole lot of fun. A lot of smart, like high IQ football fans in there talking ball, not just talking about that game, but talking about other things going on in the world of college football. So shout out to Nick George from Rate Game. We'll be hosting that live chat party. I'll be on there at noon with you guys. Coach Drew, where are we heading next?
Well, we're going to be heading to Oregon and Washington if you want to head over that way.
So the number 6 Oregon Ducks head to Washington to take on the Huskies, who are now not ranked. The Huskies have been touted as a highly talented, high firepower team, at least on the offensive side of the football this year, Coach Drew. This game's at 3:30 Eastern on CBS, but 6.5 doesn't seem like enough of the spread at this point in the season. Washington's defense and run game have been kind of like watching a game of hide and go seek this year. You don't know when they're going to show up or when they're not going to show up. But what we do know is going to show up after the victory that the Oregon Ducks put on the Trojans last week is the Oregon offensive line and running game, and the defensive front seven are going to show up. There's no hide and go seek there. I think they're going to kill Washington on the line of scrimmage. I don't think 6.5 is high enough, although I do acknowledge that Husky Stadium is a really difficult place to play as a road opponent. But what do we call Dan Lanning when he heads on the road here on the Midwest Blitz, Coach Drew? What do we call him?
Grim Reaper.
The Road Dog. Dan Lanning, the Road Dog, will not struggle against the Washington Huskies this weekend. I got Oregon probably going to cover that 6.5 if you're a gambling man.
Dan Lanning is out to prove a point. He said last week, we're not playing Chattanooga. He also reminded everybody that Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush do not play for USC. I mean, if I'm an Oregon Ducks fan, I think one of the comments I saw was, Dan Lanning, I don't have any more walls to run through. You can't stop saying inspiring things as an Oregon Ducks fan. So, I mean, if you're an Oregon Ducks, keep finding that Nike money to pay Dan Lanning because, man, he is awesome.
There's no way Dan Lanning leaves Oregon without some unforeseen catastrophe or falling out between him and the administration. He's been one of the names this year, like Kurt Signet, has been thrown around for some of these open coaching positions. And it's just laughable that a school with the resources of Oregon and a coach who appears to be as connected with his fan base and his players and the students as Dan Lanning would leave there just because someone was going to throw him a few extra bucks. By the way, nobody outbids Phil Knight. I mean,
nobody.
I don't know. That's SEC ESPN for you. Ooh, we got another classic Midwest slobber knocker of a rivalry at 3:30 on CBS this weekend, Coach Drew, and that is the Minnesota Golden Gophers hosting the Wisconsin Badgers. Badgers come in plus 1.5. So as of recently, Minnesota has been trending downward. I had faith at the beginning of the year that Minnesota was going to do a little better than they have. Injuries of their star running back and maybe a lack of production out of the offensive line have not allowed the Gophers to do as well as we thought they would. Their defense has been pretty solid throughout the year, but I feel like at this point in the season, Coach Drew, the Gophers are heading one way on the trend chart, and that's down, and Wisconsin has been headed in the other direction. I really feel like Wisconsin has a chance to come in and ruin Senior Day, especially last year in the second half of that game. Minnesota spanked Wisconsin, and they have not forgotten about it. That is a pretty intense rivalry up there. I think Wisconsin may go up there and get revenge for the beatdown they took last year. Luke Fickell, is he figuring it out too late in the season or figuring it out just in time to restore a little faith in this Wisconsin team that's been decimated, particularly by quarterback injuries, although I still question whether the new offensive scheme they were running and the new offensive coordinator they brought in have worked out. They've definitely had a schematic shift down to their third or fourth string quarterback, but who wouldn't? But the offense they were running at the beginning of the year was not working, so they've kind of dumbed it down, made it a little less passing, just a little more basic runs, and we're gonna ground and pound, we're gonna run, and we're gonna play defense. And Wisconsin's run defense has been good all year, and this is kind of what I thought they should have leaned on after I saw them the first month of the season. And they were struggling, was like, dude, you're one of the best run defenses by every statistical metric in the country early in the season I'm talking about. But then they weren't playing complimentary football. And I mean, their starting quarterback got hurt week 1 against Miami, Ohio, I believe, non-contact knee injury. They should have adjusted their offense earlier in the season. But I mean, I've actually been in a coaching situation where they hired an offensive coordinator and the offense wasn't working. It's pretty tough to pull the carpet on the dude until the season's ruined, which is a shame for the seniors on that football team. But I'm not saying the Fleck and the Gophers, their goose is not cooked quite yet, or their turkey, this being Thanksgiving week. But I don't know. My gut tells me Wisconsin right now just because of the momentum factor.
Wisconsin just took Washington. Wisconsin just took Illinois down. Minnesota's not going to be ready for this. Minnesota, where have you gone? Your boats are broken. Your oars are gone. The Gophers trying to swim still in Lake Michigan. He still hasn't found his way home from Lake Michigan. It's just not good, Minnesota. Wisconsin's going to clean up and they're going to, again, go up. Still recruits from Minnesota. Minnesota is in purgatory right now. Kind of like this next matchup with this one team that we thought was going to the national championship and the other team who started football. Isn't that interesting?
So the Penn State Nittany Lions, after a nice setup by Drew, will head to Piscataway, New Jersey to face the Scarlet Knights, who are plus 13.5. This will be at 3:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. So my prediction in this game is that Penn State runs for 200-plus yards, takes care of business on the road against the Rutgers defense, who did look a little better last week. I'll give them a little bit of credit there. But Ethan Grunkmeyer, the quarterback for Penn State, the true freshman from the state of Ohio, he's really settled in, man. He's got nice footwork. He'll take a drop, stick his foot in the ground, get the ball out on time. He's been pretty accurate, pretty composed for a freshman. If he sticks around there, no matter where he ends up going, who knows what's going to happen with Penn State? I mean, how is the Penn State coaching search going? I mean, none of us can know for sure, but I think that when they fired James Franklin, they did it too early in the year. And they thought that they were going to have their pick of the litter of a Kurt Signetti or the Tulane coach or the North Texas coach or this hot coaching candidate or that hot coaching candidate. And none of those guys have agreed to go there. I think that they showed kind of the administration, showed kind of a lack of loyalty to a guy in James Franklin who really pulled that program out of the depths of the post-Joe Paterno era scandal. You guys know what I'm talking about. And then they turned their back on him at the first sign of trouble. I know that I heard some rumors of conversations behind the scenes. Penn State had given a lot of NIL money. There were some problems, maybe, and arguments in the locker room and behind the scenes with the Penn State program. But I feel like at this point in the season, fresh start, no pressure. All the kids have gotten paid already, NIL money. They got a little momentum. They got a chance to be bowl eligible against a Rutgers team who's had a tough year. Although Ethan Kaliak-Manis has been great at quarterback. Antoine Raymond's been terrific at running back. He had 40 carries for 160 yards a couple weeks ago. I don't know if Ian Strong's going to play or not. He's one of the most underrated receivers or players in the Big Ten. Shout out to some of those Rutgers guys. I think Penn State goes in there and controls the line of scrimmage, really kind of beats up on them. And then I think Rutgers has to load the box. That gives Grunkmeyer a chance to go downfield to, Trebor Pena, the kid from USC that's there, Hudson. I don't know. I think Penn State's going to have a pretty good day at Piscataway, the birthplace, on Saturday, Coach Drew.
Yeah, I think so too. Penn State, I don't think they're going to get Lane Kiffin. I just want to shoot that rumor down in case anybody was wondering about that again. And they're in the Penn State review. Penn State is now losing out of all the North Texas other coaches. I don't think the JMU coach is going to go there because they're still trying to bid for it. The Tulane coach, woulda, coulda, shoulda, if, ands, or buts. Penn State is in an awkward situation. Maybe they just keep their coach for 1 year, the guy that's taking over right now, and keep him in that position. But let's hope Penn State can finish strong as they're not playing the Big Ten Championship, college football playoffs, or anything. And that's really sad. Now we got to go to another sad place, Michigan State and Maryland, where Michigan State had a quarterback that we all believed in Aiden Childs, and boy, that child went somewhere. We don't know where he went, and it's not been great for Michigan State.
Yeah, so Coach Jonathan Smith did decide to move on from one of my favorite Big Ten prospects, up-and-comers, Aiden Childs at quarterback, who is now over there wearing a jacket on the sidelines somewhere, which I'm not particularly happy about. But I'm not the coach. I'm not there. I'm not at practice, so I won't go too far out of my way to stand up for the kid, other than to say that I really enjoyed watching him play last year and this year before he got benched, and I saw a lot of potential. Maryland goes to East Lansing plus 3.5 at Michigan State, 7:30 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. I think Vili Osavosic, the new quarterback for Michigan State, is going to have a good game, and he's going to lead the Spartans to a victory on senior day against the Maryland team that, honestly, the strength of their team was their defense. They were one of the leading turnover ratio teams in the country, probably still are up there to some degree, and we're not able to capitalize on it and do enough offensively. Star freshman quarterback Malik Washington, who I'm a big fan of, just like I was Aiden Childs last year. I think that kid's got NFL potential for sure. I'm not sure if Maryland is really the place for him or not, and I hate to be a Debbie Downer, and I know that we actually do have at least one Maryland fan that watches our Midwest Blitz show because he loves the Terrapins, but Maryland had one of the best rushing defenses in the country for the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of the season and was not able to help their freshman quarterback in terms of setting up win. I mean, okay, I'm not blaming the defense because the offense can't score. Let's blame the lack of running game, the lack of run blocking, maybe a lack of play calling creativity. I mean, Roman Hemby, who's at Indiana right now, who's got NFL athletic ability, was there for the last couple of years and was doing more catching passes out of the backfield than he was running the football as far as yardage and explosive plays. So I think maybe you've got a defense, you have a defense that's good and an offense that doesn't have good play calling or good execution on the line of scrimmage. I think that the Viljasevic kid for Michigan State has done well, despite how much I like Aiden Childs. I think Michigan State covers 3.5 at home, Coach Drew, on Fox Sports 1 at 7:30.
I think so too. I'm kind of feeling that too. Michigan State, man. Tale of two cities, that's for sure. Well, we got Bloods and Crips playing at
Coach Drew hits the Los Angeles Red versus Los Angeles Blue matchup with a Bloods versus Crips reference here on the Midwest Blitz. Oh man, I'm putting that up there at the end of the year with our top moments of the entire season, Coach Drew. So UCLA, I can't say that. Okay. UCLA Bruins plus 21.5 head to USC at 7:30 Eastern on NBC. Is this like if you get pissed off at your cousin that lives across town, then you just go over there and bang on his door and ask him to come out in the yard? It's kind of what it feels like. Nobody else really cares about this game at this point. USC's out of CFP contention. UCLA's kind of lost their magic. But man, if you get a chance to go out in the yard with that cousin you don't like and beat their brains in, I mean, what better way to spend your Saturday? I'm sure there's a lot of Thanksgivings that end that way. I mean, none of my family, that's never happened to anyone that I've ever seen. But, I'm just throwing it out there for the audience. This is the Midwest Blitz. I think an uninspired Trojans team may start a little slow here after the CFP elimination loss last week against Oregon. I think they pull away in the fourth quarter, though. UCLA's offense in the successful days post Deshaun Foster moving to the interim head coach and their less successful days after Indiana kind of exposed them scheme-wise, they were too reliant on Nico in the running game. And I'm not throwing any more shade at Nico. We did throw some shade at Nico early in the season, but he plays hard. I think he's had a good season under tough circumstances. I don't think that the Nico saves the day offense is going to work against the Trojans right now. I think there's too much on film for it. I think that USC has athletes that might be able to spy and contain him better than some of the teams that he kind of ripped off those big games against here that middle part of the season when UCLA had the magic going. Yeah, I think that I don't know if USC covers 21.5, but it probably ends up being close to that. But I think this game will be close through at least 2 quarters.
Yep, I think it's going to be a pretty close game just because it's a rivalry. Snoop Dogg's probably going to be there for sure. It's going to be fun.
What about Dr. Dre, Coach Drew? Is Dr. Dre going to be there too?
They might all just go down there. I mean, tickets are probably going to be as cheap as, tickets are going to be very expensive there.
What about Will Ferrell, Coach Drew? Is he going to be there?
Oh yeah, they're probably all going to be there. Will Ferrell's DJing, Snoop Dogg's doing his thing.
What about, is Magic Johnson going to be there too, Coach Drew?
Okay, maybe not Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson might. No, he might be still partying with the Dodgers, to be fair. But we got to go back to the Heartland, or Midwest, whatever you want to call it. We got Illinois versus Northwestern, which is the Battle of Illinois.
The Battle of Illinois, baby. Been waiting for it all year, Coach Drew.
Yeah, Brett Bielema is looking to redeem himself as Northwestern is building one of the best Chicago facilities, better than actually Soldier Field probably is going to be right now. I find that quite interesting. Brett Bielema also is trying to steal the recruits from Chicago. It's Brett Bielema is trying to recruit you to come to Champaign, a little bit south of Chicago, while Northwestern's like, look at this pimped out field we have. I mean, you're just going to love it. So where do I see this game going? Aldermeyer is going to show why he's going to be an NFL quarterback next year. I think he's going to go off. P. Stone has been great, but I don't know how well that Northwestern team is going to travel to Champaign because I feel like Illinois is going to be on some revenge game stuff. Like, I feel like if this is a game, like, it's almost like that one meme where Batman is like doing the guy who's like, for vengeance. That's Brett Bielema to Northwestern. It's going to be vengeance. It's going to be bloody. That's a rivalry.
I do think this rivalry game has a little more juice than some people realize, and Northwestern has a lot more defense than most people realize, as we've talked about recently. The Northwestern Wildcat defense is nothing to sneeze at all, to put it lightly. I didn't want to make any more gangster rap references after, I'm kind of trying to trend away from that after some of the comments that Coach Drew just made. I do think this game could be interesting. I do love Luke Altmaier. We haven't gotten to talk about him enough or as much as I would like to lately. He's been one of our favorite quarterbacks to follow all year. Does the Illinois offensive line and running game come out and play their ass off this week? Because if they don't, they're going to put Altmaier in some long yardage situations, because this Northwestern Wildcat defense with Ulahine at linebacker is a freaking dog for the Wildcats. Can you be a dog when you play for the Wildcats, Coach Drew? You're a Wildcat. I mean, you can't really be a dog in a locker room full of cats, can you?
No, you'd probably scare them away, to be honest. But, I've seen some crazier things.
I've had better analogies, Coach Drew. I could probably do better, but he's a badass at linebacker there. I like Komalafe at running back for Northwestern too. He's a bad boy. What about Griffin Wilde? Griffin Wilde, I hope you've seen one of these so far. I started out the season not knowing who the hell you were, which I was embarrassed about. I thought you were a 5'8" walk-on. You're a big old dude at wide receiver at about 6'2", 6'3". Catching balls. I think you've got a future in the NFL, even if you have to go in as an undrafted free agent. But Coach Drew, the reason I brought up Mr. Wilde again, besides giving the props that he deserves, is that I was listening to a national commentator this week, and they were still calling him Griffin Wild. So they were calling you that at the end of the year. It took me a few weeks, kid, but I think you're a hell of a football player. I think you're a go-get-it guy. You had some nice catches against the Ohio State Buckeyes, too. I think you got NFL in your future. He's a boy from the Dakotas, Coach Drew. He started out in the FCS and then transferred up. Might be one of those guys that rides bucking broncos and, lassos ponies and does all that cowboy shit. He plays like it on the football field. This is the Midwest Blitz, not the Mountain West Blitz. For more in-depth rodeo coverage, check out the Mountain West Blitz channel,
where you'll find NIU debuting next
Who do you think's going to win this game then? You think Illinois? Illinois is favored by 6.5 at home?
I think Altmaier is going to do some crazy shit. I think this is like the last week he has a film before his bowl game, which we think he's going to play in. We don't want to allude to he's not going to play in.
I'll bet you Altmaier's going to play. Because he's not like a projected first round pick or anything. I think him getting some more exposure in a national TV bowl game and showing himself as a team leader and all that, I think that'll look good to NFL scouts. Love me some Luke Altmaier.
Do you want to go to the Trees? Also the name of my Lollapalooza hangout area.
Do you want to go to the Trees? Sounds like something people might say at a lot of concert venues, depending on how many trees might be there. Speaking of the Trees, we got the number 9 CFP ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish headed to play the Stanford Trees, or the Stanford Cardinal, or whatever the hell they call themselves. Stanford's plus 32.5 in this game. And you know what we have, Coach Drew, for this one? We got another rivalry fan letter. We got a rivalry. Friend of the show, Irish fan Tyler writes, "Dear Stanford fans, we haven't always seen eye to eye in the past, but I look forward to our upcoming game this weekend in Palo Alto. I'd like to congratulate you on being maybe the only college football team in the country with a higher GPA than Notre Dame. But as of late, you haven't figured out much success on the football field. I would like to remind you that you guys did not score on the goal line in overtime in 2012, in case any of you were still wondering about that. I do think it's appropriate that you call your stadium the Farm, because it looks just like a lot of cow pastures that I see in the Midwest farm country where I live in Indiana. Speaking of your stadium, are you the only school in the country that removed seats from your stadium to make it look like you could almost sell the place out? I would say I'm looking forward to watching the game with you this weekend, but honestly, I'm more so looking forward to seeing more Notre Dame fans at the game than Stanford fans. It's really nice of you guys to let us have a home game in the state of California right before National Signing Day, so we can go poach some stud recruits from the state of California. Don't worry, though, they weren't going to choose Stanford anyway. Also, I'd like to say you're welcome. because if we hadn't put in a good word for you to join the ACC, you'd still be stuck in the Pac-2. I mean, the Pac-12 conference of two currently. So, you're welcome for the solid we did you there. I've got another idea. You might be better off just canceling your football program. You had to beg Andrew Luck to beg Frank Reich to come out of retirement to coach your team this year because no active football coaches were actually willing to take the job. Ouch, Coach Drew. That's kind of below the belt. Anyway, nice catching up. Speaking of catching up, you'll be playing catch up the whole time Saturday. I know you guys tried to hide this embarrassment that you're going to get your ass kicked Saturday night by moving the game to 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's not going to work, though. But we do appreciate you guys helping Jeremiah Love win the Heisman Trophy Saturday night. Be safe. See you Saturday. Love and hate. Signed, Irish Tyler, Notre Dame friend of the show. Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love does have the second best odds right now, right behind Frank Heisman Doza. I was going to say Frankly.
Mendoza.
That's his real name. I just called him Frank for, I don't know, frankly. I don't know what I was doing there. That's all right. It's all fun.
He's frank and he's earnest. He's frank in New York and he's earnest in Bloomington. All right.
There we go. This game right here, do they give up 70 points? Can they do better than Syracuse? Can they do better than Syracuse?
Who's more likely to cover? Who versus Indiana or Stanford versus Notre Dame?
I would say probably, I would say, let's see. Good question. I say Stanford. Just because it's going to be so late. Purdue, they're both, it's pretty shitty that they're both even going to try to cover. But I think Notre Dame, playing at 11 o'clock at night, people are going to give shit to Notre Dame when they're like trying to go to sleep.
I was going to say Stanford.
They got church in the morning.
But, dude, look what Notre Dame did to Syracuse last week. Holy moly, man. That was an absolute epic fucking ass beating. You scored 21 before the other team or before your offense even gets on the field. That's like the type of beatdown Indiana is capable of putting on Purdue. I don't know though. I'd like to go to the analytics. We're not going to go to the analytics on this, America, but to solve this problem, we'd have to make a friendly like $5 wager and then go to the Mathletes online and figure out what the odds are. Because I don't see either one of these teams. Even if Notre Dame runs the ball every time, Jeremiah Love could have 12 carries for 160 yards and 4 tuds. Or what? You put Jadarian Price in, is it going to get that much better?
Or even Williams. They got
right.
They do have a lot of running backs.
It's not like their quarterback's not awesome. CJ Carr's been one of my favorite guys to watch all season. Whew, man. Hey, Notre Dame fans, are you guys still concerned about not making the college football playoff? Go ahead and hit us up in the comments. Let me know about that one. You think Miami's going to pass you? Don't listen to the people at ESPN. This seems like the beginning of a Midwest goodbye, Coach Drew, doesn't it?
It is a Midwest goodbye. It is, well, I hope you made it home responsibly. And I know when you're getting to this part of the podcast, you've been listening for at least an hour with us, and we appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We're going to continue talking. If it's going to be about football, it's going to be about things you like about the Midwest. That's the Midwest goodbye. As your mother-in-law drains you and tells you how your life sucks, your job is terrible, you should never married my daughter. But you got Coach Drew and Big Nick talking it up for you, so you got that going for you.
Right side is, after that tongue thrashing from the battle axe mother-in-law, it gives you a little extra incentive to go hop on the old lady when you get home, right, Coach Drew?
Yeah, absolutely. In the Midwest goodbye, we're watching the Blackhawks play the Wild live. You guys might not know that, but the Wild are a bunch of pussy-ass bitches, and I just want to let you know that blind hit that they put on Bedard, they deserve that, even though they lost in overtime. We got some hits. I wish, you know what, they should play some football and hockey as an experiment just to see how that would go.
Coach Drew, I was raised in the great state of Indiana, so I never really had an opportunity to learn hockey as a wee lad and all that, but I feel like I would have been an excellent hockey goon had I grown up on skates with a pond in my backyard instead of a basketball court.
I think you'd be a great defenseman, honestly. I think you would definitely, you don't play no shit, and neither is a defenseman, and I tell you, this is great. Midwest, we got hockey, we got basketball, but more importantly, we have football. We have football Thursday, we have Thanksgiving NFL, we have football and college football on Friday, and then Saturday, hopefully again, like you took our, what we told you, and hopefully you got all those TVs because you're gonna need them on Saturday. Because guess what? When your mother-in-law told you you ain't shit, you said, I'm gonna grab my fucking wallet. I'm gonna go down to my local Walmart and buy all those TVs with all the money I have to prove to you that I do have that money. Yeah, let's give a round of applause for those people that are gonna prove their
Hell
mother-in-laws.
yeah. We believe in you, fellas. You get through this holiday weekend. We'll be waiting for you on the other side in the Midwest Blitz. Coach Drew, what do you think was the best rivalry letter tonight?
You know, I would honestly have to go say it was definitely Indiana versus Purdue. I mean, the Michigan fans and Ohio State fans, they're playing too friendly. I think it's because they know the power of karma and they don't want to lean into it too bad. There's a lot of risk there. Indiana and Purdue are just going at it. They were going at it. Haymakers. Sometimes, the game would be the main event. I feel like that kind of ended in the first or second round, or maybe it went the distance and wasn't that great. But no, the Indiana versus Purdue, they touched gloves, and man, they just went right at it. They went right to war. Sometimes the prelims are better than the main event, but hey, if you made it this far, we do appreciate your letters. I'm not saying they're terrible. I just have to give an opinion. And sometimes I'm wrong, and when I am wrong, you always let me know in the comments, even with our cheap podcast equipment.
They definitely let us and our cheap podcast equipment. They let us know when we're wrong for sure, and we appreciate that. Keep it coming, everybody. I think you just made a great observation that the IU Purdue letters were kind of gloves off because we all know how the game's going to end, so there's just a lot of freedom to run your jaw jacker. With the Purdue and Ohio State, they did keep it a little more friendly than I thought they would. The Purdue guy wrote a lot more defamatory stuff that I just frankly didn't want to read on the air.
We have to play it careful here because we don't want to get flagged. And it's not really about offending people. It's just about not being canceled off air.
It's about having fun, but yeah, I mean, we might have to, me and Coach Drew have a conversation off the air. You might get an edited version of these letters because a couple of the things were like
the Midwest Blitz After Dark, the real
they
fan
said
letters.
that. Yeah. We need our future R-rated version of the show, the Midwest Blitz After Dark, would include all of the horrible shit that Iowa and Iowa State fans said about each other, that Purdue fans said about Indiana fans, that Indiana fans said about Purdue fans. I thought the Indiana guy took it light when he just said that they were going to dunk somebody's head in a toilet. I feel like it could have gotten a little worse there, but there was some level of restraint.
Yeah, maybe next year, instead of fan rivalry letters, I mean, that's going to be a staple. Maybe after a team gets eliminated or are having troubles after a bad loss, we just open it to fan mail so they can vent out to us and we can kind of see where they're at as their heads. Because Q&As have come and gone this season, and I've a lot of adjustments on this show since we began, but Q&As weren't as big as we would want it to, but if you ever feel like venting, feel free to reach out to the Midwest Blitz. There's many ways to do it. Many social medias you can find in a link tree where you can actually find out where everything goes.
If you guys ever want to write us a letter, send us something in the comments. We'll send you the email and you can send us something and I will gleefully, or as gleefully as possible, read it on the show. And if it's tragic, we will read it in a more tragic tone. We love feedback from the fans more than anything here on the Midwest Blitz, though. That is, interacting with fans, Drew, has been the surprise joy of this whole process for me. It's so fun to hear what the fans really think instead of hearing what ESPN has to say. I don't care what some guy in a suit that's making a 6 or 7 figure salary has to say. I care what the fans, players, coaches, people affiliated with the programs have to say. What say you, Coach Drew? I like to hear what you have to say too, buddy.
Yeah, so one of the things I do want to comment about ESPN and what they don't know, there's been a lot of things. Okay, so we're not talking about hockey here, but I will comment about one of the things. They were on ESPN Plus, the Blackhawks, and I'm not going to throw a commentator on the bus because, frankly, she's probably new or she acts like she cares. And one of the penalties, she said, well, he might be serving 2 or less. 2 or less what? The penalty is 2 minutes. There's no less. Okay. That's equivalent to us in football saying, well, there's a holding. They might get 15 yards or maybe less. No, there's a call. There's rules that go with it. I just feel like that was, not clean commentary. And I feel like we're just giving out everybody passes. I mean, I'm not saying let the fans talk about the game, but I feel like commentating and all this stuff has became awkwardly weird over the past year or so. I'm not going to say I'm perfect. I didn't go to school for this. Big Nick didn't go to school for this. But I feel like if you put us in a booth, we could do a definitely better job than some of these fools who are wearing suits who went to school and have social network to C-SPAN. So, I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
I'll say this, if they're not going to, but if somebody called me and said, could you do color commentary on a football game tomorrow, especially a college game, I would feel comfortable giving it a try. There's a lot of other sports that I love. I think I might be able to do basketball. I consider myself a very solid amateur baseball umpire, done some college games, watch a ton of baseball, but I would feel less comfortable doing that, even though I feel like I have a decent grasp of the game. But the finer points, I wouldn't be able to explain as well because I've never coached. So to tack on to what you said, Drew, some of these people are getting put in a position in the broadcasting role talking about a game that they really don't understand at all. It's like what you just said about the commentator saying it could be 2 minutes or less when the minimum is 2 minutes. That would be like me if there was an offsides in the middle of the field saying a false start in the middle of the field saying probably 5 yards or maybe less. Like, no, it's 5 yards unless it could be half the distance if you're backed up against your own goal line or something. But
that's a special occasion.
Right. I mean,
we're talking balls straight up on the 50-yard line. We know what the call is.
Right. So I agree. We just get some less than stellar commentary out of C-SPAN at times, and we're just not
could
about
you
that.
imagine? Could you imagine you have to, if you make a holding call and let's say the initial start of a holding call is 10 and the max fine is 15, and then you have to give an adjustment of an opinion of how gruesome that holding call was. 10 being, I probably shouldn't have called it, to 15 being, yeah, that's obvious. Could you imagine that? You're like, holding 10 yards, it was okay, wasn't the worst hold I've seen today.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of to that, there is in high school football, there's a 5-yard face mask and a 15-yard face mask that we have to call sometimes. So sometimes there is a judgment call, but even at that point, you have to know what the penalties are. You can't come out and say, well, it was 7.5 yards. You have to know the options and then present them to the coach and then announce it to the crowd as you're reffing a game. You don't.
Yeah. When the kicker falls on his ass and somebody ran into him, is it running into the kicker or, accidental plant foot scenario? That came up in NFL. I think that'd be another one too in the NFL.
I did see
he run into the kicker?
Running into the kicker is 5 yards and roughing the kicker is 15, but it's one or the other. It can't be 12.5 or 5 or 7.
Yep, it can't be 12. Less than. It's either or,
right,
depending on the judgment of the call.
You almost think that before they would put you on television that you would know that, or be smart enough to just omit the part that you can't explain. But I'm sure we mess that up sometimes. I know I've made mistakes on our CFP whiteboards where we show every ranked team and who they're going to play this week. And I have written the wrong opponent, speaking of mistakes, but I've written the wrong opponent while I'm writing the thing up. And then someone in the comments lets me know, which I appreciate you guys when you comment and let us know that we make a mistake like that. But at least do your best to know the subject matter before you start making sounds with your mouth. Making sounds with your mouth. Not always the best. Oh, Coach Drew, before we sign off, favorite Thanksgiving side dishes?
All right. Well, my favorite side dish that has been introduced as a side dish now is sausage and potatoes. I also make a killer mac and cheese, so I guess I'm just going to be biased. What about you?
I'd say my all-time favorite, can't miss, has to be mashed potatoes, because even if the Thanksgiving host makes a very bland or a very dry mashed potatoes, I can always just scoop a big hunk of butter on there, throw it in the microwave and mix it up, throw a little gravy in it. Pretty solid. Love some mac and cheese. A good stuffing. Some people hate stuffing, but I say it's because the stuffing was too dry. In my family, we put chicken broth on the stuffing and we put it in a crock pot and let it slow cook. So it comes out a little more moist. Now, some people might think that sounds weird, but I've never had one person at my family Thanksgiving get-togethers that didn't like the stuffing if they tried it. But I think people don't like stuffing because stuffing can be dry if it's done wrong.
Yeah, it's a very trust issue. It's kind of like casserole. Casserole can be a good side dish, but sometimes casserole's like, what did you do? Why did you do
Yeah.
it? Then you become like an English teacher. Who, what, when, and why? You ask the
Who
5 W's.
who made this? What is this? Why did they do this? When
And you
did they
guys are
make this?
correct. While Nick was talking about his favorite side dishes, I did go on the Rate app and rated that Blackhawks game. And I do appreciate all the other Blackhawk fans and or Wild fans who are there and thank the officiating. You're fucking welcome. Again, the young Blackhawks get hosed because the Zebras do not give them respect. My biased opinion, very biased. I don't know if you could tell how biased, but it's very biased.
I
Some
think the
might say the
Blackhawks,
greatest
though,
of
Coach
marginal
Drew,
biased.
Blackhawks seem to be earning some respect as this season goes along. Up and coming squad there on the old
They get
frozen
some
pond.
sometimes, but I do appreciate the that the coach is letting them stick up for their team and they could take bad penalties because they might retaliate or do something that affects the game. It's that brotherhood and bondage. That's going to go a longer way than just saying, oh, well, that dude just got smacked. Let's not do anything because we don't want to take a penalty. They're more like fight on sight, and I love it. So some more hockey chatter. We're getting our Christmas hats yet or what?
Need to order them, Coach Drew. We're ready for the next holiday already here on the Midwest Blitz. We might get a visit from old St. Nick.
And he might have some letters too.
Hey, you might have a naughty or nice list for all you college football folks out there. All right. I think that wraps up this Midwest goodbye unless Coach Drew has some other things he wants to share.
No, I think that's it. I think I'm content with what we did today because now I have to go and rage right after this and throw some things I couldn't throw on live air because again, my biases of officiating has not been great.
Officials,
So,
a necessary evil in the world of sports.
Coach Drew signing off.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Thanks for watching.
Happy Thanksgiving.